Okay, we'll start with this. We now know more about who it is Segolene is going to be fighting and what version of a WBA title she's going to be fighting for, because she said she's going to be fighting for a title. She's going to be fighting Argentina's own Juliana Basualdo later on this year in October, giving them plenty of time to promote the show since they announced it over the summer months for what is a WBA gold title. This fight is going down in Segolene's neck of the woods. Segolene, that sports a professional record of 18 wins with 1 loss, no draws, only 1 recorded knockout, having never been knocked out in 19 professional bouts. To Juliana Basualdo, whose record is a bit more spotty, sporting a professional record of 12 wins with 5 losses, no draws, 2 knockouts, having been knocked out once in 17 professional bouts. Last in action earlier this year in May, she won a unanimous decision against Eliana Orechea. And what was their rematch? They first met earlier this year in February, then they had their rematch in May. Juliana won that one. Juliana Basualdo, who's pretty much 3 for 3 in her last 6 fights. She won 3, she lost 3. Where Segolene Lefebvre, she's 5-1 in her last 6 fights, coming right off that decision loss to Ellie Scottney. And what was their unification match earlier this year in April, Segolene means to rebound off that loss before this year is out, and she's got the right idea. That's the right attitude to have. You shouldn't let it fester. You shouldn't wait too long before you get back out there and get yourself in the winner's bracket. The relevance of the fight is the WBA gold title that's on the line.
And that the fight is going down in France.
The WBA gold title that 2 or 3 years ago, the WBA said they were going to phase out. They were going to try to limit the number of titles they have in circulation at a given weight to just 1 per weight class. They have since pulled back on that promise, and that's what this heralds. They're back to mass-producing different versions of the same title to give to several fighters.
To collect several sanctioning fees.
But the relevance of the fight is that WBA gold title, because theoretically that would line up the winner of Lefebvre versus Basualdo for the winner of Romero versus Valenzuela. Nazarena Romero versus Paulette Valenzuela, that's supposed to be for the vacant WBA title, the full title.
Not some secondary version, not gold, not regular, not interim.
The full title. Nazarena Romero is going to get her 3rd crack at the apple, what will be her 3rd chance to become a full champion at this weight. I think she's going to do it. She's taking on Paulette Valenzuela, who is a common opponent between her and Segolene Lefebvre.
Interesting.
So let's say Nazarena wins her fight with Paulette and Segolene wins her fight with Juliana. Theoretically, that would line them up for a fight with each other. And that is interesting.
Things are shaking, rattling, and rolling at 122.
Like I said they would. This is a very deep division, a deep weight class with champions and contenders, unbeaten up-and-comers, very good fighters. The talent pool runs deep at 122.
I like Segolene Lefebvre's chances against Juliana Basualdo. I think she can beat her. She's been beat by lesser fighters than Segolene.
And because the fight is going down in France, Segolene is going to have home field advantage. If it goes to the cards, don't think that don't matter. It absolutely matters.
Segolene on points is the pick. Segolene's not big on power.
She does a lot of things well. Segolene's got good height and good length. For a super bantamweight, she can box and punch, use that length to stay on the outside and mix it up a little bit on the inside, though once again, she's not big on power, so a knockout isn't likely.
But I like Segolene to win in October.
And we'll talk more about it as the fight date approaches. In men's lightweight news, Shakur Stevenson has gone back on the attack via his social media saying, oh yeah. And then you've got goofy-ass fighters like Shushu that y'all be gassing up. This guy is older than me, hasn't even fought for a title yet, hasn't stepped up his level of opposition. Top Rank is finding him the worst available opponents. If you're really like that, go fight Odebek or Robisi Ramirez. Until then, you can't talk. You are behind schedule. You're a prospect. Better go ask your coach about me, Bruce Carrington.
What's he taking shots at Bruce for?
Bruce Carrington, who said, why have you got beef with me? You've been on arguing with people and been in your feelings ever since your fight. I did nothing but give and say respectful shit about you. You have a problem with me, pull up on me. You're on the internet too much looking for an audience.
The most I can deduce is that maybe Shakur caught wind of Bruce's comments that he was expecting a little more from Shakur on the night.
But he wasn't critical. He wasn't overly critical of Shakur like Cameron Giles, like Mason Betta, Marcus Brown, Ishe Smith. The most that I can deduce is that Shakur must have caught wind that Bruce said he was expecting a little more, and now he's in his feelings. He said, I tried to pull up on you and get some work 100 times. Your coach saved you every single time. Go ask him, little dude. Like I said, hit me when you get a real fight. I'm pretty sure Odebek and Ribisi will fight any day of the week. Stop letting them trash cans get to your head.
I don't think that Bruce Carrington is the one getting a big head.
Bruce Carrington, who said, this is your second time mentioning me too. You're moving weird, gang. It's really multi-division world champions hating on the attention that a contender with only 2 years as a pro is getting. This world is crazy.
I agree.
All of this still seems unprovoked. It feels like a reach from Shakur Stevenson, lashing out at anybody who's around, anybody who's there. In this instance, Shushu Carrington.
But why?
Well, he is gaining momentum. People are talking about him, how impressive he looks, and how he's a fan-friendly fighter, and he shows that. He knows how to put on a show and how to close one. He said, you'll never see me downplay anybody for winning in life, no matter how they get it, slow or fast. Especially people I grew up with, known since kids. I want nothing but the best for everybody that grind and sacrifice to better their life. I'm what you call a thoroughbred.
So you're telling me 2 going on 3 weeks out from Shakur Stevenson's fight, he's still picking fights online with people? If only he showed this kind of moxie and this kind of energy under the hot lights instead of on Twitter.
Bruce Carrington responded to Shakur by saying, you reached out to me once about sparring. I've got the DMs. And once I brought it to your team about compensation, everybody went quiet. I heard nothing from you after, to which Shakur replied, ask Coach K. You've been in the stable with me for years. Ask him how many times I asked to spar you.
So what?
And I don't do any internet cap. You forgot when you used to come home to Houston back when Angeletti was beating your ass in the gym, or them top trash cans got you too big-headed to remember.
Shakur is trying to steal his thunder.
Shakur, who said, pussy boy wanna be in his feelings now, you better ask about me. I don't downplay nobody. I'm respectful to everyone, unless a guy don't deserve it. Come off of Cloud 9 and humble yourself, little bruh.
Shakur is trying to steal his thunder.
That's what I think.
I do.
I think he sees that people are starting to take notice of Bruce Carrington, what an entertaining and skillful young fighter he is, and that even though Shakur just left Top Rank, he won't be missed. They've already got his replacements lined up, so if you want to go, you can go.
They've got Abdullah Mason. They've got Bruce Carrington.
Bruce Carrington, who said, the crazy thing is, I give nothing but love to bro whenever I see him. Any interview his name is mentioned, I got nothing but positive shit to say. But as soon as a guy is winning, no matter how I get my wins, you act like that? That's wild as hell. I think he's mad because my NY homies, Mace and Cam, dragged his ass on the podcast. Now he hates the whole New York, and I happen to catch a stray. Some guys just wake up on their period. Shit is beyond me. I don't do this dumb play, bro. Be a grown-ass man, pull up on a guy in person, and stop crying over everything and making a scene to the masses like a little bitch. At the end of the day, y'all know what it is. Whenever I step in a ring, I always promise a crowd-pleasing performance. Welcome to the Shushu Show. Can't wait to step in a ring again.
My diagnosis.
Shakur Stevenson, who's already frustrated at what people have been saying about him in his last 2 performances, he sees the positive press that Shushu Carrington has been getting, and he doesn't like it. So now, he's got an axe to grind with that guy. Just the other day, on one of the live streams, we were talking about the previous cycle of unbeaten up-and-comers and the current cycle of unbeaten up-and-comers. How the previous cycle, that's Devin Haney, Shakur Stevenson, Teofimo Lopez,
Richardson Hitchens, who came up under the Mayweather Promotions gym.
He was once a Mayweather Promotions fighter. We talked about how this upcoming cycle of unbeaten up-and-comers, they don't get out there trying to fight like Floyd, like the previous one did. You know, Abdullah Mason, Shushu Carrington, Tiger Johnson, Jahi Tucker, Floyd Schofield. They don't get out there trying to look like Floyd and fight like Floyd, like Shakur does, like Devin does.
The previous cycle of unbeaten up-and-comers seems tantamount to a bunch of Floyd Mayweather wannabes, a bunch of Floyd clones.
They got this mentality like, whatever applied to Floyd also applies to them, that a win is a win.
No, it isn't.
You're gonna rob the bank. You're gonna make off like a bandit.
No, you're not.
Floyd, whether you liked him or not, was an exceptional fighter, but you can't spell exceptional without exception. Floyd was the exception, one of the few pure boxers that was able to make himself a marquee attraction, because that's not the norm, and that style of fighting.
Floyd didn't become a safety-first fighter until later on in his career. That's likely when these young guys like Shakur and Devin first saw him.
So they get out there and they want to be the next Floyd, doing their best Floyd Mayweather impression.
You want to fight like you're in your mid-30s with brittle hands?
I said it before and I'll say it again. The reason that Mayweather was able to get away with that, at least a part of it, is he had the right dance partners. Dance partners that had fan bases of their own, like Miguel Cotto with the Puerto Ricans, or Juan Manuel Marquez and Canelo with the Mexicans, Oscar De La Hoya with the Chicanos, and Manny Pacquiao with the Filipinos, that he could be that safety-first fighter because if nothing else, your opponent also brings fans to the table.
Whereas Shakur, you're too young to fight like you're in your mid-30s with brittle hands.
That is, you're too young to fight that way and think you're gonna get away with it just because for a time, Floyd got away with it. You're not Floyd. You wish to fly off the handle because once again, people are calling you boring.
That's not Bruce Carrington's fault. That's not Bob Arum's fault. That's your fault.
Because you've got it in your head that a win is a win when it isn't.
If you keep winning that way, you're gonna fast become a member of the Who Needs Ya Club.
He doesn't want to understand that. He rather lash out online. Why do you think you have to beg and plead for William Zepeda, who is your mandatory challenger, to fight you? Why do you think you have to beg and plead for that? Why do you have to beg and plead for George Kambosos to give you the time of day?
Why is that?
I'm not proposing that fighters continue to swerve Shakur Stevenson so much as highlighting that they are, but why?
Because you're a member of the Who Needs Ya Club.
And for the fights that you want to have in your career, you don't want to be a member of that club. You don't want to have to beg what is your mandatory challenger to give you the time of day.
You shouldn't have to.
Boxing Scene recently published an article asking, is Goldenboy Promotions just using William Zepeda as bait for bigger fish? Shakur Stevenson's free agency is one of boxing's hot topics, with previous promoters Top Rank, Matchroom Boxing, and Oscar De La Hoya's Goldenboy Promotions all thought to be in the running for the Newark Star's signature. Top Rank have promoted Stevenson throughout the entirety of his career, while Matchroom's Eddie Hearn has declared his interest, and former world champion Paulie Malignaggi felt De La Hoya is in with a shot at landing Stevenson. Of course, Oscar is going to put on his promoter hat and try and sign the best fighters out there. And any promoter, when one of the top fighters in the sport becomes a free agent, is going to look to make his play, Malignaggi told ProBox. Oscar's looking to stake his claim.
So, if so many promoters are after Shakur, how do you reconcile people calling him boring and a member of the Who Needs Ya Club?
Because of what Oscar De La Hoya said. Oscar De La Hoya, in so many words, said that Zepeda is non-committal to the Shakur Stevenson fight, and that the only way that fight happens is if Shakur makes a commitment to Goldenboy. What that tells you is that Shakur has very little bargaining power to get the fights that he wants. So even if he's skilled, and some promoters want to sign him,
he's still in a compromising position.
A fight between Stevenson and Goldenboy's leading lightweight contender, William Zepeda, has been discussed at times through the last 12 months. But Malignaggi asks what that means for Zepeda. Would Goldenboy be using Zepeda's reputation to build Stevenson's? Would they be as invested in bringing Zepeda back from a loss? He's offering Zepeda, hey, you want big fights? I've got Zepeda, Malignaggi explained. The only problem is, first of all, Zepeda's not a world champion. He's still an ascending, growing name. I think he's going to be a fun fighter to watch for years to come.
But is a fight with him enough that Shakur Stevenson would make a commitment to Goldenboy? That's the question.
Why was Oscar De La Hoya willing to send both Jaime Munguia and Ryan Garcia over to the PBC side of things? Why was he okay to make those fights?
Where he's acting like an obstacle when it comes to making this one. What's the difference?
Well, that compared to Shakur Stevenson, Gervonta Davis is in demand at least more than Shakur. And Canelo Alvarez, of course. Why do you think so many people want to fight Canelo Alvarez? He's skilled, he's plenty skilled, he's decorated, and you stand a good chance of losing against Canelo Alvarez. In spite of that, fighters want to fight him. Why?
They want to fight him anyway. Why is that?
It's because he's a draw. It's because he can sell. It's because they know, win or lose, so long as they have the fight, they're going to make a lot of money. Because he's a draw.
What does this have to do with Shakur?
How the hell are you going to make yourself a draw when you've got this a win is a win mentality? When you think that so long as you win, even if it's a ho-hum victory that puts people to sleep, that people say is boring, how are you going to become a draw when that's the mindset you got? You need the fans on your side.
Fighting for you so that you can get the fight.
You don't ask, why are they calling me boring? What's wrong with them? You ask, how can I fix it? How can I make it better? Because I need their patronage. I need to be within their good graces. I need them on my side.
If they are, Oscar can't leverage a fight with William Zepeda against your signature.
Because more than anything, more than belts and accolades, the patronage from the fans and being a draw is what gives you leverage and makes fights happen.
You need it.
And that's not saying that accolades don't matter and belts don't matter. It all matters in the bigger picture, but you need the fans on your side, and what you're doing, you're pushing the fans away.
Oscar doesn't want to let William Zepeda fight you because he doesn't think it's worth it.
He doesn't think you're a big enough draw. The fight's not big enough to risk William's unbeaten record. That's what he thinks, and that's why he's willing to aim William at somebody else. He's protecting him. I don't make any bones about it. He's protecting William, and I don't think he has to, but that's what he's doing.
They're about to duck you because they feel they can afford to.
So many of the fans aren't on your side. They're calling you a boring fighter, saying they don't want to see you fight.
You don't need that.
What you need to do is find that happy medium between staying in character, staying who you are as a boxer, but still being able to put on a show, entertain a crowd. The adjustment that Shakur has to make, it isn't even a big adjustment. It's just throwing with more frequency. For God's sake, if a come-forward plotter like Zerto can turn himself into a boxer, you can let your hands go a little more.
If he can add lateral movement and setting traps and counters to his repertoire, you can add something to yours.
It's not asking a lot.
Shakur needs to swallow his pride, do the work, and make the adjustments.
That will fix it.